In the lead-up to the highly anticipated Anambra State gubernatorial elections, stakeholders from across the media landscape gathered for a pivotal workshop aimed at enhancing reportage, promoting inclusivity, and reinforcing accountability in the election coverage. Key institutions and security agencies like the police, the NSCDC, and the NOA had this to say.
That is our two organizations. The diversity of the media in Anambra State, as we saw during the introduction, from government-owned media to private commercial media to community media, and as you can see, from all parts of the state where media institutions operate. And then also
institutional civic education, or at least share that responsibility with the National Orientation Agency, because citizens have to be well informed in the electoral process. So I'm just trying to say that we do recognize NOA as a very important partner in this case to have credible elections.
A number of organization and segment of our polity that must be inclusive. So I start with the security agency. I like some of the things that my good friend, the mantra "police is your friend" still reigns. What he said, but I would address you collectively in terms of the security agencies that you must, number one, work together. Number two, be truly inclusive. Identify some of your officers that must be trained on inclusivity matters, so that day you don't see us and scare us. There is no doubt we have electoral law that mandates persons with disability to be given priority. In other words, when you see them at the polling unit, you know that the onus is on you by law to allow them to vote first. And part of your job will be to convince everyone in the polling unit to ensure that they are given that opportunity. For the political parties, and I know maybe they were not invited, you still have a responsibility to ensure that your internal democracy is inclusive, to ensure that not only will you push us to vote for you, that one day you will allow us to be voted for. When it comes to the media, and I think I would like to end on this note, the media, you have a huge role to play. I know that the attraction sometimes is to report on very sensational aspect of this election. So you're looking for Katuku or whatever his name is, and you're looking for Soludo, you understand, and the rest of them, to know what they will say. It's also important that you focus on the participation of persons with disability in this election. So, like Larry and Dr. Kundu, they have become an inclusion advocate. So please look out for the participation of persons with disability. Tell all your reports to reflect what is happening to them, how INEC have provided all the electoral material. I'm talking.
The persons that are sitting here are well trained. They know the protocol of confirming information. At times, each and every one of them reach out to me to ask one or two things before they go to the meeting. But these persons that I'm talking about, they push out the narrative without considering the damage it will cause. So may I use this opportunity to commend the persons that are sitting here today. The lead agency when it comes to internal security, but we are not doing it alone. That's why the civil defense is here. And if we can also invite other security agencies, it will also be a kind of credit for them because they play a very supporting role when it comes to election. Let me also say this, that election is a very big project for the police and other security agencies, and there is this thing we call operational order. This operational order covers the deployment of both the police, civil defense, DSS, the military, immigration, and all the security agencies. And INEC on its own, we create something we call interagency consultative something that has to do with all the security agencies and stakeholders involved. And we meet all the time to assess what we are doing. Currently now, from our own assessment, we don't have any threats. November, coming this November 8th election, we are very, very prepared for it. And let me also provoke this thought that the unique thing about this election, why I can confidently say that we don't have any threats, is because it's a runoff, it's a on-off election that has to do with only Anambra that is having this election. So it's not more like a general election. So we are very, very confident that we'll be getting support from other stakeholders and likewise other security agencies, because I know civil defense will seek assistance from Enugu, which will also seek from Delta, and Force Headquarters will also deploy some senior officers to come and monitor what we are doing. So that's the unique thing about this election.
Sure, that in our effort to make sure that Anambra election is free, that the media is also our genuine partner. So once again, on behalf of my commandant and on behalf of NSCDC, I welcome us to this interactive session. We have got so much as far as this election is concerned. In our core mandate, we are the ones registering the private guard company, and so far we have started working on some of the arms that they are using. It's because ordinarily they are not supposed to use arms, those that are private guard companies. So we don't want this election to be militarized. That's why we have gone ahead in our enforcement to move off all the arms and also arrest those who are operating illegally as private security operating, because these are the ones that all these politicians will use to rig election. So we are on top of our situation and on top of our game to make sure that Anambra election is peaceful. Thank you and God bless you.
This was followed up by the question and answer section, where journalists asked questions that bordered on the election. For instance, what are voters expected to come with? Of which the PPRO replied saying, you are expected to hold your voter's card and probably your phone. Any form of weapon will definitely not be allowed in the voting center. Plus, on vote buying, many agree that education, constant education, that is, educating the citizen on the negative effect of vote buying on them and society, will help curb that. After this section, the participants were split into two groups: print media and the broadcast media. In the broadcast media group, the Center for Media and Society discussions spotlighted civic and voters' education, gender sensitivity reporting, and the need for inclusive narratives that represent the marginalized groups.
Talking about being aware, taking note of, recognizing the peculiarities of people, their challenges, what they face, difficulties they face during elections, and coming up with strategies on how to counter them. That's gender sensitivity in a nutshell. Talking about roles, identities of people, men, women, boys.
That's the civic part. Now there is, so it's a broad one. There There is this other one that is called the voter education, which is a kind of subset, if you like, of this big city, which is the section that is restricted to the electoral process, and which, as we are told here, is to equip citizens with practical knowledge from voter registration to casting ballots to ensuring that people can participate in elections. Part of the challenges we've had in our conversations is that our colleagues say to us, oh, when the election is coming, like 1 week or 2 weeks to the election, we begin to have programs. And they say that's voter education that is needed. For voter education, the electoral process is a long process. Indeed, it's a kind of cycle. You often hear INEC talking of, oh, we're doing voter registration. And that is, the election is still far away, the election is still far. That is part of it. Meaning that voter education is not restricted to 1 week or 4 months towards the election.
Participants actively engaged in appraising the forum and contributing valuable perspectives. The workshop culminated into a collective commitment to uphold ethical standards, prioritize inclusivity, and strengthen the democratic process through responsible media engagement. As Anambra State prepares for a crucial moment in the democratic journey, the media's role remains central. Workshops like this are laying the foundation for information, inclusive, and accountability coverage that empowers every voter.